Jacqueline, you asked, symptoms became worse after COVID in January. It's gotten worse each month, and I can't work and do much of anything these days. What do you do for that? So, Jacqueline, I'm sorry you're going through so much, and I just, COVID is an all around, all system affecting disease. I don't know if you watched my first live that I did last week, but I did talk a little bit about this. And, the initial stages of COVID, when we first found out about COVID, and there's studies on this, and there's some articles on this about how about the first initial 2 to 300 people were all dying after contracting COVID was because it was really affecting their adrenals. And then I guess over time they realized that these adrenals are being affected pretty drastically, so they started giving COVID patients steroids, and that really helped decrease the mortality rate. So I can tell you this for a fact that, COVID is a very inflammatory disease, a very inflammatory virus. And so not only does it increase your systemic inflammation, it increases what they call now the cytokine storm. And so once these cytokines are all over your body, it's a very inflammatory process. It affects your GI tract, it affects your musculoskeletal system, it affects your lungs, your pulmonary system, your cardiovascular system. So your heart is not pumping as much blood, and then it takes out the adrenals. And as you know, once if you it takes out your adrenals and you don't have cortisol, you are pretty much bedridden. This was my case. This is what happened to me. There was no COVID back then, 5 years ago or whatever it was, but there was no COVID back then. But whatever the inflammatory process was took my adrenals out, and I was bedridden for 5 months, 6 months. So it sounds like, Jacqueline, and I hope you're working with a functional medicine practitioner to kind of help you navigate through all of this. But it sounds like you really need to work on your adrenals, just for starters, to get your energy levels back up. Um, and what are some of the basic things that you can do for your adrenals is, I've talked about this before, but going out first thing in the morning, getting sunlight within, first 15 to 30 minutes of waking up, and then just walking on the bare ground, not cement, not, your driveway, not the tarmac road, on grass. Go out and get grass right off the bat, the ground. And you can look this up. It's called Earthing, the movie. Really helps with the inflammatory process, and it's a whole theory behind it and scientific explanation of electrons and charges and all of that. But those are some of the inexpensive free things you're doing. It sounds like you're saying that you've gotten worse and you can't do much of anything else. You're homebound. I believe you said that you couldn't work anymore. Then give it a shot. Get up in the morning, go out in the sunlight every morning, stand on the ground, on grass, and just give yourself 10 to 15 minutes. And then the other thing for the adrenals is really need good amount of supplements, especially vitamin C was very, very helpful for me. Vitamin C, zinc, quercetin, and then I did lemon water and salt every single morning. That is called an adrenal cocktail. And for people whose adrenals have really been damaged or affected, it's one of the most, helpful concoctions out there. People swear by adrenal cocktails, which is lemon water, salt, and some cream of tartar, which is potassium. So you're really getting the vitamin C in the lemon, you're getting the sodium in the salt, and then you're getting potassium in the cream of tartar. It definitely helped me. And even now on days like definitely tomorrow morning, since I've worked out 3 days in a row, pretty intense physical activity, I will probably start my day again with lemon water and salt tomorrow morning. Just to kind of, help my adrenals out and support them a little bit. Jacqueline, I don't know if you're working with a physician who's got you on any kind of um, adaptogens. Like ashwagandha is actually very, very helpful. There's a few other things, rhodiola and ginseng and ginkgo and things like that, which again, you have to work with a practitioner to help you guide guide, the correct way to take them. Glandulars are very, very popular. Glandulars are the actual ground up adrenals of bovine, so like cows and things like that, and they ground them up and dry them in pill form, and then you just take the glandulars, and it's supposed to really help with your adrenals. Um, and so those are really things to look into. Work with a practitioner who will kind of prescribe adaptogens and ashwagandha and things like that, even holy basil at nighttime for sleep, but it also helps your adrenals quite a bit. I still till this day take the holy basil. I will put the link in the comment section of the live. For the same company that I used to use the oxy powder, I use their holy basil and I love it. It's completely natural, organic, holistically grown. And then the other thing that they are now finding with a lot of COVID and long hauler syndrome is hyperbaric oxygen chambers. Apparently, I did hyperbaric years ago, maybe 3, 4 years ago, for my illness and my chronic illness and all the stuff that I was going through. But now they are finding that it is very, very helpful for chronic illness and long haulers from COVID. So I'm not sure if you have the resources and the access to hyperbaric oxygen treatments, but those are really supposed to help. But I really, really recommend, Jacqueline, for you to work with an IFM, Institute of functional medicine practitioner. And then the other thing too is because COVID is so inflammatory, they really need to start addressing your gut, and just things with glutamine and really addressing the inflammation in the gut and the leaky gut can have a lot of these symptoms that you're talking about where you're pretty much bedridden and having a severe inflammatory response going on. So I think that would be also beneficial for you. I mean, there's so many things, Jacqueline, that I could get into, but for me, these are the things that kind of jump out at me right now.